Just a few thoughts here on juxtaposition as we return from Paris to the gloom of Rick's maudlin, drunken state. Notice that Sam's piano drops out, losing the romantic feeling of the song associated with Ilsa. And voila, here comes our woman in the center of the frame. So let me just talk about juxtaposition within the frame for a minute. What is next to each other here? Juxtaposition is about elements pushing against each other, either visually or in terms of story. So we have Ilsa in white with a key light coming from screen right, juxtaposed with Rick and Sam in the darkness. They don't even get a key light here. They're lit by the fill from Ilsa's light. And why is that important? Well, Rick is in despair and Ilsa's the only person in his life that could change that, yes? So this juxtaposition uses these particular aesthetic components and contrast to set up the visual juxtaposition of despair and hope, a film metaphor. This is where your analysis of the shot can get into literary elements of filmmaking. There's what we see, a three-shot favoring Ilsa, a long shot favoring the men with medium-long framing, and of course the lighting I discussed a moment ago. And there's what the shot is saying. In this case, something like hope and love just arrived into the room of despair. Now, not all shots are composed so formally. A realist filmmaker would most likely avoid this metaphoric content and juxtaposition in the shot. So let's look at a shot from another film, Fat City. Also happens to be a bar, has an entrance by a woman, Susan Terrell in the background, moving towards a man who's down on his luck, played by Stacy Keach. Notice how the overt drama is played down by the low-key lighting and all of those patrons that filled the frame, as we had trouble even picking her out as she moved through the room. But let's take a moment to look at the other type of juxtaposition when two frames collide with each other at the cut and create a third meaning. Or we could talk about the softness of this mise-en-scène that suits the romantic mood so well. We can notice the high contrast of that earlier scene is gone and the two lovers are closer in visual tone to each other now. They're both in the same shades of gray as opposed to the dark black shadows of the earlier bar shot that contrasted with her white coat. So cool.
You'll always have Paris.
You'll always have Paris. Yeah, well, we need to get to the point here. So, enough of this built up. We need to get here. Yeah, that's it. To this shot, where I can talk about how the juxtaposition of it smashing into the romantic mood from the one before yeah, get it? Ilsa's smooth turn away juxtaposed with the heavy shift in scoring, extra diegetic, right? And the jittery push into Strasser's car. So, if we're directing a film, we have these tools that give us some parameters for choosing shots. Some choices are simple, who needs to be in the shot? But others, through juxtaposition either within the mise-en-scène or between shots, can help us through the use of visual or audio-visual metaphor. This is the coolest thing about making visual stories this way. So, let's finish this bit up, okay?
Hello, put that phone down. Get me the radio tower. Put it down.
And...